So we have these images in our culture of the nativity scene. We've got a barn, there's a manger, there are animals, there are kings, shepherds, angels. How realistic is that? It seems a little bit like Santa Claus in the North Pole. Are we supposed to believe it on those terms? What really happened?
Yeah, sort of Hallmark card stuff. Everything's just perfect and lights shining, stars shining. I mean, some of this comes from a legitimate question because more recent scholarship shows that the way that a certain word was translated in, I think it's in the Luke Gospel, where it says there was no room for them in the inn, and they get, shoved out to somebody's back barn, out into a stable, was actually a mistranslation. The word is actually there's no guest room. The New Testament does have a word for inn. It comes up, for example, and I think it's Luke 10 when the Good Samaritan delivers his banged up new buddy to an inn and pays for the fees for a couple of nights accommodation. That's not the same word that's used to describe where Mary and Joseph stayed. They stayed in the main room of a humble Jewish home in Bethlehem, likely with relatives. And that was where this baby was born, sort of not isolated away from anybody who cared about anything, shepherds delivering the baby sort of thing. That's not the way it was supposed to play out. It does, though, raise questions, and you can help me out here a little bit. It does raise questions. What do we believe then about this story? Because there are shepherds that are included. Yeah. There are wise men that are included in the story. There's actually angels that are included in the story. Luke's version of this begins with a census that Caesar Augustus took. So if you're going to sort of play this off as somewhat viable, completely viable, totally trustworthy, or something in between documents, Caesar Augustus checks out. He had census that were taken in, I think, 28 BC, in 8 BC, and then 14 AD. So this guy was interested in people's taxes. A Roman emperor interested in people's taxes checks out. That works. And then some of the other details, shepherds. Is there a chance that was for real? Well, if you go to Bethlehem now, you would stand on a street corner, you'd look around a little bit and go, this place, what would you do here? You could raise sheep here. It's not a big walled city. There's nothing pretentious about it. If you take the tour, they'll show you some caves where shepherds would take their sheep. And so, that checks out. Wise men, they come later. They're still in Bethlehem. Herod the Great, being a main player in this, killing little baby boys. Like, there's actually pieces that check out. And you go, yeah, there seems to be some validation. How about you? How do you approach like this idyllic Hallmark picture of Christmas, and how do you explain to your friends how much of that's true and not?
I think it's a nice picture, and it's an easy way to talk about or maybe imagine the story, but I don't feel bound to it. I don't, and I'm not surprised when it doesn't really match with Scripture. I think that the beauty of Christmas is that we have God come to be with us, and it's so surprising the way that actually unfolded, and so humble. And I think we kind of try to pretty it up, right, with the way we imagine it in art and the way we try to present it. It's this happy, sort of, I don't want to say peaceful, but it is idyllic the way we try to present it. And it would have been kind of messy and confusing and even scary for people who were a part of it back then. And I just love the reality of the story as we encounter it in the Gospels.
Yeah, there's this thing about us that wants to sort of make religion, I don't know, like you say, sanitize, scrub it up.
Yeah.
And the reality is that God uses ordinary people. Yeah. And always has. So I don't want to make any enemies, but I don't think that Mary was exceptional. Yeah. I think she was a young, unmarried, virgin Jewish woman, and God said, hey, you up for this? Are you up for this? And Zachariah and Elizabeth, her relatives, same story. Joseph, carpenter maybe, laborer for sure. We want to be in on this. So God seems to delight in using unschooled fishermen.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a fun piece.